We are doing something a little different today, pulling an episode that I have wanted to reshare for a long time. So you are going to want to hear this. I'm Cameron. I spent years building my career and creating a life I loved. And when my Prince Charming finally showed up, he had 4 kids in tow. Fast forward through lots of mistakes made and lessons learned, stepfamily life was much more complicated than I realized. If you're looking for help with blended family life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Stepmom Diaries, where we keep it real as we dish about all the things. This is your weekly dose of blended family inspiration and encouragement. You're not the wicked stepmother, so let me help you find your fairy tale ending. Come on, let's do this. Welcome. So we are doing something today that is a little different than we usually do here on the podcast. I am pulling an episode out of my archives that I have actually wanted to reshare for a long time, and I think you're going to love it. You're going to hear my conversation with Amy Porterfield. And if you don't know Amy, she is a New York Times bestselling author. She runs one of the top online business podcasts in the world. She has built a multi-million-dollar company, I think maybe hundreds of millions of dollars company from scratch. And she's also a stepmom, which is exactly why I had her on the show. Now, here's why I wanted to give this episode another listen for you. When I first recorded this with Amy, I was a baby business owner, like kind of brand new, not brand new, but pretty new. And, I was fangirling a little bit because Amy was one of the first women that I followed when I started thinking about building something of my own. And having her on my podcast was a literal dream come true. And listening back to it now, it's really interesting because at the time I knew that I was having a fun conversation with one of my business heroes, but this episode is actually a blueprint. It's a blueprint for what's possible when a stepmom decides that she is allowed to want more than just surviving stepfamily chaos at home. Because here's the thing about Amy's story. She did not have it all figured out, right? She was a new stepmom, navigating a new relationship with her stepson, trying to build a business. She built an empire, not in spite of being a stepmom, right alongside it. And if you're listening right now and there's even a tiny whisper inside of you thinking, I wonder if I could do something with everything I've been through, I want you to really hear this conversation, not just the business advice, although it's good, the permission and the reminder that you don't have to choose between showing up for your family and building something meaningful for yourself. So a heads up before we dive in. Since I recorded this episode, I went on to build the Stepfamily Coach Academy, which is the certification program for stepmoms who want to do exactly what Amy talks about in this episode, turn their experience into income, build something meaningful while they're still being present for the family that they love. If that stirs something inside of you or makes you think just a little bit, head over to stepfamilycertification.com. The Stepfamily Coach Academy is where I help stepmoms like you actually build the thing. So let's get into it. Here's my conversation with Amy Porterfield. Amy, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. I have genuinely been looking forward to this. When I heard about what you do and your topic with working with stepmoms, I'm like, sign me up. This is such a great topic. So thank you.
Well, it's absolutely inspiring. I'm so excited to have you here because not only are you this hugely successful businesswoman, CEO of a multi-million-dollar empire, a business mentor of mine, and you are also a stepmom. So I love being able to talk to stepmoms who are doing it all, even though I know that that's an impossible concept.
Amen to that.
So I have lots of questions for you today. So first of all, I always like to ask my guests what their origin stories are. So I know a little bit of your story about how you met Hobie through his ex-wife, which I think is such a fun story. So tell us the story. Tell us how you became a stepmom, all the things.
Okay. So about, let's say, 16 years ago, I was working for Tony Robbins, who's a peak performance coach, and we had a really small leadership team at the time. And so we would travel together. We became really good friends. And one of the gals on the leadership team with me, her name's Tracy. She was head of HR. And I would go up there at lunchtime and we'd chat, and she'd have a picture of her husband on her cork board. And I used to always say, "Your husband's so hot," which is very inappropriate now that I think about it. She was head of HR, but I couldn't help myself. He's so good looking. So I used to always tell her that, and she would just laugh. Well, fast forward about a year later, we became really good friends, and she confided in me that she was going through a divorce. And about 6 months after that, she called me up and she said, "I want to introduce you to my ex-husband. You two would just love each other." And I thought, what? But I already thought he was good looking. So I'm like, do it. I can't wait. So she set us up. And the rest is history. We hit it off like immediately. And so I felt I was almost 30 years old. So I was ready to settle down, and he was just everything I wanted. So we stayed really good friends with Tracy, his ex-wife, Hobie's ex-wife. But not only did Hobie come into the picture, but a little 4-year-old came into the picture as well. His name was Cade. I had met him already because he used to come into the office all the time. But now he was in my life in a totally different level. Now, to back up, I didn't ever know if I wanted to have kids. I thought I would. I wasn't against it, but I wasn't one of those girls that couldn't wait to have babies. So my business started to take off, and I realized I don't think I'm ever going to have a child, but I didn't need to. I had Cade, and I loved this boy from day one. Although I will tell you, it wasn't the easiest thing I've ever done, but I'm so glad that I've had the experience.
So that leads me to my next question. So when you became a stepmom, there were not a ton of resources. We were just talking about this before we started. There weren't a ton of resources out there. So what piece of advice would you give yourself, your back then self, but just new stepmom, just getting started? What do you wish you knew?
I wish that I knew that I was going to get to create my own unique experience and relationship with Cade. I wanted to be his mom. That sounds a little weird, I know, but I wanted him to love me just like he loved his mom. So for instance, Tracy would come over to the house. Cade was still little, and he'd kind of hang on her. You know how you hang on your mom, and we're talking and Cade's hanging on his mom, loving her, kissing her. He didn't have that with me. And he would leave with his mom if we were trading days or whatever, and I would cry. I was devastated that I didn't have that relationship with Cade. And I thought he'll never see me as that. And my husband used to always tell me, just give it some time, let the relationship build on its own. But I wanted everything. I would go to his classroom to volunteer. I would be at all his games. I'd be there look all the things that I'm doing. Love me because I'm here for you. He was 4 or 5 years old at the time. He wasn't looking at me through that lens. So the advice I would give myself is let it happen organically. You show up, you love him, you do the things you want to do, but your relationship will become unique. Now, fast forward, and today he's 20, and we have a beautiful relationship. I think he respects me. I think he loves me. He tells me every day he loves me. But I just couldn't see us ever getting there because it wasn't the exact relationship he had with his mom.
Well, and, I think as a society, we buy into this whole instant family culture. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I got married, everyone was like, I've got 4 stepkids. Everyone was like, oh, you have this instant family. That's so cool. Well, okay, you have these instant stepkids, but that doesn't make you an instant family. It takes a lot of time, right? I mean,
I can't imagine 4. I really struggled with 1, so I give you so much credit. Wow.
It's definitely a lot. But so you started your business not that long after you became a stepmom.
Exact same time. Yes, it was really all at the same time.
That's a lot to take on.
It was because I wanted to be present with this new sweet family that I had with Hobie and Cade, and I wanted to be that mom that I saw. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, so she did everything for us. And I felt like I needed to be that person. But at the same time, I had this calling. I wanted to start a business. I wanted to make my own money. I wanted to do my own thing. And so the two really clashed for a while. I remember my husband was becoming a firefighter at the time. We had way too much transition at one time. New stepmom, my husband becoming a firefighter. I was starting my own business. And at the time, Hobie wasn't available to take Cade to football practice. So I was responsible this whole week to get him to practice. And I was a new stepmom at the time. So I was like, I got to do all the things and I got to do it great. Well, I lost track of time because I was building my business and starting to work on some big project. And I got him to practice late and he had to run laps because I got in there late. And as the sweet boy was running laps, I'm literally crying behind my sunglasses. I am the worst mom ever because balancing starting a business and being a mom holy cow, that is a huge commitment. So it didn't come with a lot of challenges, but I also knew I wanted Cade to see me do something incredible. I wanted him to see women making their own money, becoming their own bosses, leading the way. It was important for me that I didn't just prove it to myself, but I wanted to be an example for him. So I knew these challenges were totally worth it.
Well, and I love that you kind of own the challenges. I mean, I think that like as women, there's so much pressure on us to do all the things. You know, we're expected to do all the things at work and then come home and do all the things. And I think especially stepmoms, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves because we're trying to fit in with this family that we've joined and, you know, do all the things. And I mean, I remember one of the first birthday parties I threw for one of my stepkids, you know, Craig had to like sit me down afterwards. He's like, you know that they don't all have to be Pinterest perfect. Like the kids, she's like 12. She doesn't care, you know? And I kind of realized I'm like, the kids aren't going to remember that stuff. They're going to remember how they felt around you. You know what I mean? And they're going to remember like, you know, that you took the time to have conversations with them or whatever it is, you know, I mean, it's more about that. But it's hard. We put so much pressure and especially like you're trying to build a business, you're trying to do all the things. It's really hard.
It really is. So I love when stepmoms get together and talk about this stuff. That's why when I first met you, I'm like, where were you 14 years ago? Because I really know how to navigate this. So hearing your stories and hearing how you did it, it's so valuable to me even today to be like, oh, she gets me. So that's why I love the work you do.
Totally. Thank you so much. And so let's talk a little bit about your business because you do have this amazing book that is like just out. It's so exciting. It's called 2 Weeks Notice. And, you know, one of the things you've been a really great business mentor to me. And one of the things that I really love is that, you know, when you help all of us that are building our businesses, you don't just give us like these vague business tips. You actually take the time and provide these like step-by-step blueprints. And, you know, and I told you before we started talking today, I mean, that has helped me in my business so much. But that's what you've done in the book too. You've really shown the readers how to design their lives, right? To achieve this financial flexibility and financial freedom. And, you know, I want to dig into that a little bit. So can we talk about unbossing?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Okay. I almost named the book Unbossing. Instead of 2 Weeks Notice, I thought this is what I need to name it. But then it's like people would not know what I meant until I explained it. So I thought that's not a good name. So this concept of unbossing is knowing or believing that you have the capability to lead yourself. You do not need anyone else to lead you. Now that might sound so very simple of a thought, but here's the thing. When I was born, I was born into a family with a very strict dad. It was his way or the highway. That was my very first boss. That's all I knew. And then I went into the work world, had bosses, usually male bosses, for most of my adult life. And so I've always had a boss. And to be quite honest, I was really good at having a boss. I could follow directions well. I would love to excel and get the atta girls and the promotions and the raises. I liked the consistency and the security of a job. I was a great employee. I was good at being bossed around, essentially. And so then when I went out on my own, I thought, holy cow, there's no one telling me what to do. And it wasn't that I needed to be told what to do. It was that I was very comfortable with that. And so it was the first time that it was only up to me. And I realized there's a process you have to go through to unboss yourself, to firmly and truly believe that you can take care of this no matter what comes your way. And I think that takes time. And when I left, when I left my 9-to-5 job, I started to do social media for small businesses. But I also was a contractor for a few businesses to help with their online launches. That was my expertise. And I realized I just let those people treat me like they were my bosses. I was a contractor for them, but I was like, what do you want? I'll do anything. I love to impress. Like I was still acting as an employee, even when I was out on my own. So this process of unbossing takes time, but little by little, as you let go of people telling you what to do and you rely on your expertise, your knowledge, your gut, you will shed the bossing part of you that you could just let it go and you are your own boss.
I love that. That's so hard. And that really is something that I think even if you're not starting your own business, you know, you need to sort of kind of push through that struggle and learn how to do all this on your own, you know, and like there's not a handbook for stuff for life. There's not a handbook for starting a business except for yours with everything that you've
Right
got.
now there
And
is,
this
but
one
there
there
wasn't
is, yes.
before.
But, the same thing for stepmom life and blended families. Like you have to just sort of take the leap and figure things out.
And I think the way you do that is taking action. So I always say
Yes.
action creates clarity. So you got to start before you're ready. Like I had to be a stepmom before I even knew what the hell I was doing about being a stepmom. And I think with business, I had to start even though I had no idea how to be my own boss or do that. So start before you're ready, I think is such a great motto to have because I don't think we're ever ready to do anything big in our lives. So you just got to get into motion.
That's so true. You just have to do it. There's so much in your book that I think also applies to stepmom life. And one of the things that really stood out to me is Jasmine Star, who I love. And I'll put a link to her stuff in the show notes as well. And of course, all of Amy's. But Jasmine telling you ain't for everyone, boo.
Oh,
Because let
geez.
me tell you, that's something that I have struggled with. And I know so many stepmoms have struggled with is, whether it's the spouse's ex or, other moms at the baseball game or whatever, just like, why won't you like me?
Yes. Oh
you
my
know,
goodness.
people
Yes.
usually like me. Why don't you like me? And not realizing that like, you're just not going to make everybody happy. You're not for
You just
everybody.
you're not for everybody. And that came about because I had posted online and someone didn't like what I said. It was about a marketing strategy, but this guy didn't like it. And then other people chimed in. And all of a sudden, 3 or 4 people were telling me I was wrong, but it felt like 4 or 5,000 people. Like that's how big it felt to me. Because I, like you, I want everyone to like me. Like, how could you not like me? I'm a nice person. I'm doing good in this world. And so I called up my friend Jasmine Star and I'm like, this guy is attacking me online. And I'm sure it wasn't attacking for the record, but it felt like it was. And that's when she said, you ain't for everyone, boo. Like, why are you trying to please everybody? You're going to water down your message. You're going to get lost in the sea of messages online. You have to be putting a stake in the ground or be polarizing or having an opinion. That's what people are looking. They want to know, what do you want them to do? Tell them what to do. And so in that moment, I realized that guy's never going to buy from me. I don't need to please him. I don't need to make him happy. He is not my audience, nor are anyone else that doesn't agree with me. I want to find the people that I resonate with, that I could serve them and help them. I don't want to talk anyone into believing me. I want to guide them. And so in that moment, I got a little bit more of a backbone. Like I know my stuff and I'm going to just focus on the people that actually get me. And that changed a lot for me because I cannot live my life trying to please everyone. And another thing she said in that moment was, if they're not paying the bills, they don't get an opinion.
Oh, I
Oh,
like
so
that.
true. So true. Why am I letting strangers on the internet dictate how I run my business or what I post? They're not paying the bills, nor do I even know them. So I had to let go of that.
And that's hard. It's really hard to let go of what other people think. I mean, I think, it's like you said, if you have gone along in life and been, it's been easy to make friends. It's been easy to get to know work colleagues. It can be hard to sort of stomach that there's somebody out there that just doesn't like you and you don't know why and you can't change their opinion. So letting that go, I mean, that's hard, right?
Absolutely hard. I still genuinely 14 years in want everyone to love me, but I also know I have to let it go. But it's not an easy road. That is for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think that the other thing that I really loved in the book is talking about when you got feedback from your followers that they wanted to see a less polished version of you, because I think,
Uh,
that is something that I think in business is absolutely crucial. But I think sort of underneath that level, thinking about real life and as stepmoms, I know that like, again, when you are a new stepmom and you're wanting to sort of show everybody you can do it and you've set up this happy home and you have like the perfect holiday meals and, you put your makeup on to go to school for pickups or whatever it looks like, and at a certain point, you realize that like, it doesn't matter. You don't need to do all that. So talk a
uh,
little bit more about being authentic because I think that you've done a really nice job of kind of taking, especially, on social media, away the sort of polished and being real.
yes. So it's funny because my story of becoming more real online looks a little bit different than others because so I grew up from a mom that like she won't even go to the grocery store without full face of makeup and looking good. Like that's just her style. So that's all I knew. So I always felt like my hair needed to be done, makeup, look great on camera great, whatever that means, in order to put my best self forward. And then I started to get feedback from people online. This is over the last few years, like when I would maybe jump on with my hair in a messy bun or hardly any makeup, like, oh, we love the more casual, real you. And so I thought, what is happening? Or I'd post pictures of photo shoots I do. No one cared. I post a picture of in the car with my husband, just a quick snapshot. Everyone loves it. And so they just love to see the realness. And I get that. And I had to let go of my perfection and let go of wanting to look a certain way for my audience in order to really resonate with them more. They felt more connected to me when I'd put all those guards down. However, I also have to remember who I am. I'm not the girl that's going to jump on an interview looking like a hot mess. That's not me. And so I also had to ask myself, I know my audience wants the more real me, but who am I? And I'm a girl that I come ready to the interview however I'm going to feel my best. So it's this little bit of mix of who are you? What do you feel best in? How do you want to present yourself? And then ask yourself, is this the real me? And as long as the answer is yes, you do you. You do whatever. If you want to look amazing on camera every time, do you, no matter what your audience asks. But also you have to get in touch. And I think entrepreneurship, here's something. I could say this about being a stepmom and being an entrepreneur. You sure learn who you are and what you're all about. Because,
Absolutely.
right? Through all the mistakes and missteps and the tears and the struggles, you start to learn more about who you are and what you stand for and what you're about. And I think it's the biggest growth you can get through both of those avenues. So I've just kind of had to find myself throughout the years. And you won't see me be a hot mess online, but you also won't always see me super polished. That's who I am. So I'm going to stay in that place.
I love it. And figuring out, who you are and what you want to convey to people and that it's okay to make mistakes. I mean, I think that, again, talking about all the pressure, we feel like we can't show any sort of failing. And, that's something I talk about a lot is like the whole reason I got into this is because I made so many bad mistakes, you know,
Yes.
but I've learned so much from them and, they've made me who I am. And I think same with you in the business world, I mean, you only grow through your failures and through your stumbles and
The only
you know,
way.
yeah. Amy, this has been just an absolute dream. Thank you so much for joining us. I can't tell you
Oh my
how much
gosh.
this is,
I'm
we have totally fangirled through this. So I really appreciate it.
I'm so glad we did this. Like I said, I love what you do. And there's going to be some stepmoms listening that want to quit their 9-to-5 job. They want to start their own business. And I'm your girl. I will show you page by page everything you need to do. But I think it's really special when I get to come on a podcast like this, where it's a bunch of women that get me, and I get you. I know what it feels like to make all the mistakes of wanting to be the best mom in the world when you have no clue what you're doing. I also know how lonely it can be to be a stepmom. I know you didn't ask this, but I'm going to tell you a quick story. Years and years ago, I went to a mastermind with a bunch of entrepreneurial women, and I was a stepmom at the time. I had already met Hobie and married him. And we were getting on a plane, and this woman knew I was a stepmom, and she was telling this story of some challenge she was having with her kid. And we were walking through the aisle to our seats. And I look back and I'm like, yeah, that would be hard. She's like, well, you don't get it. You're not a real mom. And I was a new stepmom, and I wanted to cry in that moment. She told me I wasn't a real mom and that I didn't get it. And in that moment, I thought, where are my people? Where are the other stepmoms that are going through these weird comments that people make, or they don't understand our role? And what you're doing literally can change someone's trajectory of how they show up for their families. So when I was invited on this podcast, when I saw Stepmom Diaries, I was like, bring it on, because this is the community I want to be a part of. So thank you for what you do, and thanks for including me in it.
Oh, thank you. And I'm so glad you told that story because that has happened to me too. And I can't tell you, there's so many women out there that have had that or something similar happen. And to have you put a voice to it, I mean, that's just amazing. Amazing.
Well, thanks
So,
for giving me the opportunity to do so.
yes. And I hope that you will all go out and buy Amy's book. If you even have a little glimmer of wanting to quit your 9-to-5 or start a business or do something outside the box, Amy is your girl. And 2 weeks notice is your handbook. So I will put a link in the show notes and go buy her book.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Take care.
If this episode spoke to you or touched your heart, would you do me a favor? Take 10 seconds to go and follow the show, leave us a 5-star review, and share this episode with another stepmom who might need to hear it. Your support is going to help grow our blended family community, and you never know whose life you might change.